SteamWorld Build. Is it going to be a win or a bin? Let's have a quick read through of the description on Steam. Break ground on a new frontier as the planet dies around you. Dig deep and build wide to excavate long-lost spacefaring technology while ensuring everyone has the vital water, fuel, and creature comforts they need. Do you have what it takes to reach the final frontier? This was released 3 days ago at the point of recording this review. And I could have actually played this a lot longer before releasing this review because I've enjoyed it so much, but unfortunately I do need to get this review out ASAP. So this is just some footage and explanations based on what I've played so far. 2.5 hours worth of gameplay, but there's plenty more in there. Okay then, so this is a city builder. But there's a little bit of a twist to it. So although the setting itself is fairly unique, certainly with anything I've played, because your city is inhabited by robots, and plenty of them as well. Lovely, full, bustling cities. But there are two worlds. There is the Overground world, for which is where you build people's homes and the factories primarily, and warehouses and stores. But underground is a mine environment, where you have to pick away at rocks, find different gems, gold, and all various different resources that you have to push back up to the surface for you to use on the surface. But you have to discover old technology. And the storyline here, very, very roughly, is that you are tasked in effectively recovering space age technology, or just some amazing technology that just doesn't exist in the world that you're playing in. And it's all underground and hidden away. And as part of these mines, all those archived bits and pieces of rocket technology you have to recover, and that's part of it. So there's a lot going on here, but you do effectively have two separate city builders going on at the same time, and they cooperate with one another, which is a brilliant idea. Okay, let's start with the things I love. Now, the look of this game is absolutely fantastic. The stylings and the artwork of the game are eye-catching, bright. The actual animations of the buildings are excellent. You can see what each building is doing. You can zoom in, and it's just a really nice moving parts world. It's done excellently. And a point I said earlier on in the video, one of the good things about this game, or superb things about this game, is actually having two separate worlds to have to control. And that in itself, I think, is part of the appeal here, because it's not just a bog standard city builder game. There is more to this than initially meets the eye, because as soon as you get to go into the mines, you think, wow, this game is just expanded out twofold. You know, this is great. The storyline is good. There are various little cutscenes with narrations, and it keeps you in line really as to what you need to do. So you go through trying to recover parts of this ancient spacefaring technology, and you have to get that out of the mines, and you're kept abreast of what is going on in terms of the history and what you're up to in your backstory and things like that. And it's just nice. It's nothing too complicated to understand. It's just a nice little plot line that keeps things ticking over. The choice of buildings in here, absolutely brilliant. You've got your different structural things within the mine itself. Things like pillars, because the roof will occasionally collapse in on you, and you have to keep on top of that, making sure that the roof doesn't come down and ruin your hard work. You've got quarters, living quarters for different types of workers underground, all sorts of things. Above ground, you've got accommodation, warehouses, stores. You've got water production, just most things you can think of. There's taverns, so many things. And as the game goes on, you unlock lots of different buildings. The more population you have, which you have to balance enough workers of different types, and they pay you tax, etc., etc. The more people you have, the more things you unlock. But with that come harder tasks. So it's not necessarily good to unlock these things straight away, because the buildings that you unlock and require to build, or are required to build, require things you haven't necessarily found yet in terms of resources. So there's a good progression level here. I do like the fact, I know this is a very minor point, but you can pick up a building at any time and move it elsewhere. Now, some games like this, if you decide that as your city grows, you could do with moving something somewhere else, but then you have to demolish the building, and then you might have to spend more resources on it, and it just becomes a bit annoying. But with this, you can just move a building whenever you want for absolutely nothing. Just put it somewhere else, juggle the buildings around a bit as your city grows, and you're trying to restructure things, because certain buildings have only a limited reach of where they can affect. So sometimes you're going to need to move things around. This game just lets you do it. It's just chilled out. It doesn't punish you. You could take your time. There's no rush really to do much, as far as I'm seeing with this so far. So yeah, it's just cool and laid back. A couple of bad things now. Now, I love me a tooltip, and within the building menus, I would love just to be able to hover over one of the buildings that I want to build and it tells you what resources you need. But no, you can't do that, unfortunately. You have to click on the building as if you are about to build it and place it. Then it will tell you what resources you need. I don't really want to have to do that. I just want to hover over the buildings, tells you what you need, if you've got it or not, and then you can move on if you haven't got the resources, or you could choose to build it if you do have the resources. In similar vein, buildings require certain things, whether that's a factory that requires an input or accommodation that requires a satisfaction of need for the residents who live in those buildings. Now you have to click on each building, literally an individual house, and it will tell you if their needs are being met. I don't really want to have to do that because after a while, there's a lot of buildings on this screen. And I would much prefer, again, just being able to hover over a building and it pops up and it just tells you how they're doing. Or maybe even a flag up if something is lacking in terms of a need not being met. Now, it will happen, I did find out later, but only when they are at a level where they're really annoyed in terms of their satisfaction. But I would probably want to be alerted if even one thing was lacking, because I just want to put it right and make sure I'm getting the most out of all the buildings, and I can't literally click on each individual building to find out how it is on a whim. I need to be told that a building has a negative impact or a negative situation. Otherwise, it's just a bit hard to tell. And just another semi-negative, really, because there aren't really many at all about this game. I absolutely love it. But I can imagine, and this is just me speculating, I can imagine that this could get a bit repetitive because the tasks, albeit, are slightly different in that it gets you to find different resources. The actual actions of achieving those tasks becomes a bit similar, but with just different names in the task and different words in the task, but the actions themselves seem similar. So I haven't got bored of it yet by a long shot. I could play this for hours more, and I'm actually gutted that I have to move on to the next game after this and review the next one. But I can just imagine it getting a little bit repetitive. Just to sum up, I think this game is just all-round good quality. It's good fun. There's plenty of hours worth of gameplay in this. There's so much to do, so much to see. It's laid back. Just chill out, take your time. For something that's so busy and hectic, it's actually just a very chilled out game. So what you see on the map, there's lots of running and darting around. But in terms of the player, you're not stressed at all. You're just laid back, and it's enjoyable just to relax and play this. The game's full price is £25. Yeah, I would say it's worth it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the uniqueness of this game, the fun of this game is worth it. I would say it's at the very maximum of what's acceptable, though, however. So maybe wait till it's on sale, but I wouldn't say this is too expensive at the £25 mark.